Hafide, and welcome back to Weekend Edition. This is Rehash, where we recap the big stories of the week, and this was a very crazy week in the newsroom.
Definitely.
So, eeny, meeny, miny, I pick Nestor. Go.
Okay. Let me start off with something positive, because I know what you guys are going to be doing. We attended the airport board meeting where it was announced that the airport scored a perfect score in their certification. First time ever for a Pacific Island airport, so that's something they're very proud of. They met the Federal Aviation Administration standards for safety and operations, so kudos to the Guam Airport.
Well, more good news, sort of, is the $100 million request for proposal. That whole project to rebuild Simon Sanchez was stalled because of a protest by Cortec International. But just last week, DPW decided that the protest was denied, which means it will move forward and Simon Sanchez might still be built by 2019. However, Cortec still has an opportunity to appeal, so that might not be the end of the story, but we'll just have to wait and see. Another thing I want to talk about was a really cool story about fisheries. So it turns out that fishermen in our area have been complaining that almost 2/3 of their catch is either missing or damaged by sharks. So sharks eating it, eating the head off or the tail. But research shows that there actually aren't a lot of sharks around Guam compared to the rest of the Marianas. So the Western Pacific Fisheries Regional Management Council is going to be conducting research into this. So I guess we'll just have to wait and find out what's the reason behind this mystery. So we'll see.
And I guess some good news, depending on who you're asking or talking to, was about the Pago Bay Resort. As we all know, there's a lawsuit pending, or before the court, a petition appealing the decision by the Guam Land Use Commission. Well, there's this bill, Bill 318, that would give residents a true voice on these land use matters. So it basically would require the municipal planning councils to give approval on projects that are before the GLUC. There was a public hearing this week. Of course, the Pago Bay residents testified in support. I know some people, however, were against it, like the actual GLUC Land Management Director, Mike Borja, says that this would empower people who don't have the expertise to make very important decisions. Another developer, or I don't know what you call a developer, but CU Holdings, they opened the Compadres Mall and Paradise Estates and Paradise Meadows. They said this would actually create chaos and havoc on land use matters. But other people like an EPA rep, he says he's been involved with the zoning process for more than a decade, and he says who better to make the decisions on these matters than the people in the villages who it will affect most. So we'll see if the bill actually gets heard on session floor and if lawmakers actually pass it.
And I don't even know how to segue from all that awesome news. I covered the church controversies, and the word of the week is apostolic. Say that 10 times fast. So this week, Guam was assigned an apostolic administrator from Rome. His name is Archbishop Savio Han Taifai, and he is on Guam, and he's going to take care of all the duties of the Archdiocese, while Archbishop Anthony Apron, meanwhile, is placed on leave. And this is amid all the allegations against Apron. There are now 4 alleged victims, all of them actually coming from Agate, from Mount Carmel Church, where Apron was a priest. We had, in the last few weeks, we had Roy Quintanilla come forward saying that he was molested. We had Doris Conception, who alleges her son was on his deathbed. His name was Sonny. Sonny Kanata was on his deathbed when he said he was molested. We have Walter Denton, who says he was raped. And then 2 years ago, we also have John Toves, who says his cousin was molested by Apron. And so we're finally seeing action. Savio Han held a prayer mass, or a prayer service. I was corrected, prayer service. On Thursday, he addressed the community for the very first time. I spoke to some parishioners after, and they're very comforted to hear his message, his role at what an apostolic administrator is supposed to be on Guam for. Basically, his role is just to take care of reunifying the Guam church. There has been a divide with the church, and most people are blaming Apron for all of that. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens next with these allegations. And if you want any of us here at KUAM to cover any of your stories, email us at reporters@kuam.com.